ॐ सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। Namasarvebhyah. Welcome you all to the next session of Sangeetha Ratnakara of Sharngadeva, offered by Arsha Seva Kendram as an overview. It is really great to see that we have completed 25 sessions and still continuing to have only the overview and not the entire text. We are in the last chapter of the Nartanadhyaya of the Sangeetha Ratnakara. Last chapter is Nartanadhyaya, where we covered 24 Sangeetha single hand gestures, and 13 Sangeetha. In today's session, let us have a look at the Nrttahastas. First one is Chaturashra Hasta. Chaturashra Nrttahasta. पुरो मुखौ समस्कंध कूर्परौ खटका मुखौ स्थितो वक्षः पुरो देशे वक्षसः अष्टांगुलांतरे चतुरश्राविति प्रोक्तौ स्रगाद्याकर्षणे करौ. So here पुरो मुखौ, facing forward, Samaskandha Purparau, both shoulders and elbows aligned equally. Khataka Mukha. In the Khataka Mukha hand gesture, Sthitaha Vakshah Purodeshe Vakshasaha Ashtangulantare. It is placed or positioned in front of the chest region, and then at a distance of 8 finger width from the chest. This is said to be Chaturashraviti Proktam. Sragadi Akarshane Karo. The hands are employed in drawing a garland. And the second Nrttahasta, Udvrittahasta. Here, what happens is, having made a square form of the two hands, Chaturashri Kritya Panyoho, formed in the Hamsa Paksha gesture, Kritayoho, Hamsa Pakshayoho, Uttanaha Adhaha Vrajati Ekaha, Vakshaha Anyaha Yati Adhomukha. So, one turned upward, one goes downward. Both hands are shaped in Hamsa Paksha. And then one at the chest and the other facing down. This is called Udvritta. In the depiction of palm leaf stalk, the same is termed Talavranta by experts. And then when the Hamsa Paksha hands face forward and are turned in opposite directions, they are used in the sound of victory, which others regard as Udvritta. The third Hasta, Nrttahasta is Bhutva Udvrittau Sthitau Triyashrau Hamsapakshau Swaparshvayoho. When the Hamsapaksha hands placed on either side take a triangular form as an Udvritta with palms facing each other, that is called Talamukha. The learned say it is used to depict the pleasant sound of the Mardala drum. Madhure Mardala Dhvano. Then next is Swastika Nrttahasta. Ashlishta Paksha Hamsabhyam Swastikaha Swastikau Karau. When both Hamsa Paksha hands are crossed, forming Swastika hand gesture, it is Swastika Nrttahasta. And then fifth one is Viprakirna. Here, what happens is, Viprakirnau tu taveva sahasa swastike chyute nichagra unnatagrava kuchabhyam puratasthitau. Here, the crossed swastika hands, when suddenly released from the swastika position with one hand's tip lowered and the other raised, also the Hamsa Paksha hands are turned outward. It is known as Viprakirna Hasta. As I cannot exhibit these positions, I have tried to put as many images as possible so that it is better understood. Hmm? And then next is the Arala Khataka Hasta. Pataka swastikam kritva vyavritti parivartane ऊर्ध्वास्यौ पद्मकोशौ च व्यावृत्ति परिवर्तने क्रमात् कृत्वा यत्र वामम् उत्तान aralam acharet. So when the pataka and swastika gestures are made in rotational movement, forming Padmakosha with both hands, the both Padmakosha hands work together when they are turned upward, and the left hand performing the raised arala, while the right hand forms khataka mukha facing downward, or when both hands are crossed in swastika while forming arala, then they are called arala khataka mukha. These gestures indicate merchants and ministers to express deliberation. Others describe it as the Khataka Mukha held near the thigh facing forward, and the Arala with its tip raised and slightly extended sideways when the hands are placed on opposite sides. They are termed Arala Khataka Mukha. Next is the Avidha Vaktra Nrttahasta. When both hands and patakas gesture with graceful movement of the arms, elbows and shoulders perform a quick rotation. Palms are turned downward. That is called Avidhavaktra. The experts say these are used to show certain actions like throwing something or some circular movements like that. भुजाग्रयोः कूर्परयोः अंसयोः सविलासयोः सतोः पताकौ व्यावृत्तिं विधाय भवतो द्रुतम्. And then next is सूच्यास्य नृत्तहस्त. मध्यमा संगतांगुष्ठौ चतुरश्रप्रदेशगौ सर्पशीर्षौ क्रमात् तिर्यक् प्रसरन्तौ pradeshinim. When the middle fingers are joined to the thumbs and both hands, shaped like sarpashirsha, are extended sideways in front of the body, they are called suchyasya. First, pataka hands are rotated outward. Some describe a special circular spreading motion, while others define it as crossed swastika hands in Rechita form. What is Rechita? That we are going to see next. Prasarita Uttana Talau Uchyete Rechitau Karau. Athava Rechitau Proktau Hamsapakshau Drutabhramau. So when both hands are extended with palms turned upwards, swiftly rotated in Hamsapaksha, they are called Rechita. When both features combine, they are used to portray Nrsimha's, that Lord Vishnu's fourth incarnation, where he appeared from a pillar to tear Hiranyakashipu. So the lifting of arms actually here, that kind of action or gesture of the hands is called Rechita. Daitya Vaksho Vidarane. And then next is Ardharechita. Ekena Chaturashrena Tau Syatam Ardharechitau. When one hand is held in Chaturashra and the other hand is in Rechita, the pair is termed as Ardharechita. The next one is Nitamba Nrttahasta. उत्तान अधोमुखत्वाभ्याम क्रमेण स्कंधदेशतः पताकौ यदि निष्क्रम्य नितंब क्षेत्रवर्तिनौ. So when one hand is turned upward and the other downward near the shoulder, and both pataka hands extend outward toward the hip region while performing the rechaka movement, those hands are termed nitamba. And then Pallava Nrttahasta is there. When the arms are rotated upward and extended, bahu vyavartitena urdhvam prasarya parivartitah. With both pataka hands crossed in swastika form. Swastika krititam neetau, patakau pallavau matau. They are called pallava. Some describe them as relaxed three pataka hands, others as bent and raised padmakosha hands with relaxed wrists held at the sides or in the front. Some define them as pataka hands in place of padmakosha. So, various people have described this gesture in different ways. And then Keshabandha Nrttahasta is there when both hands rise at the sides near the head without touching it. Parshva Desha Uthitau, Parshvam Asprishantau, Gatau Shiraha. Repeatedly extending from the hair region towards the hips like the Nitamba gesture and alternately moving forward and back, they are termed as Keshabandha. Actually, here, when we look at the other Vyakhyana, it is very interesting. Abhinava Gupta says cyclic motion of the hands in Keshabandha is each hand alternately moves towards and away from the Keshadesha region of the head or hair. When one hand withdraws, the other approaches. A rhythmic alteration. This repeated motion, punah punah, prithak gata, he says, creates the visual impression of binding or arranging the hair. So this is Keshabandha. And then next one is Uttana Vanchita Nrttahasta. So here Kapolamsa Lalatanam Kshetre tu Anyatame Sthitau Tripatakau Karau Kinchit Tiryanchau Sammukhau Mithaha. So when both hands in Tripataka gesture are held near the cheeks, shoulders, or forehead, slightly oblique and facing each other, moving upward from the shoulders and elbows, pausing briefly and then moving again, they are called Uttana Vanchita. Some describe this as a gentle lowering of the shoulders and elbow. And then there is Latakara Nrttahasta. Patakau, Dolitau, Tiryak, Prasratau Tau Latakarau. Anayoho Karayoho, Keshabandhayoscha Nitambayoho. Tripataka Kritim Kechit Acharyaha Pratijanate. So when both pataka hands are gently swaying and extended obliquely, resembling the gestures of Keshabandha and Nitamba. They are called Latakara. Some teachers describe them as having the form of Tripataka. And next comes the Karihasta. Sprushat Kari Karakaraha Parshvayoho Chet Latakaraha Unnataha Dolitaha Anyastu Karnastha Khataka. So here what happens when the hands resemble the trunk of an elephant and move at the sides, they are like Latakara. When raised and swaying near the ear, they become Khataka. Some teachers call this Tripataka. The sage here, sage Rishi Muni is there, no? Muni, that word is there. So it is Bharata Muni. Here, Bharata Muni uses a singular term Karihasta because both hands are of the same type, not distinct. They are not performing some, each hand is not performing something different. So the why this Karihastaha only singular is used here. Elsewhere it was when both hands are performing different actions. It was in Dvivachana, dual. Here he has used the singular because both hands are performing the same action. They are showing the same this thing. Nachatra karihastatvam ekaikatra ghattatvavat. Not that each hand individually is karihasta as in ghattatva. Nor is one hand called karihasta and the other something else. Naikaseshaha nachadvanvaha yataha dvivachanam bhavet. It is neither a compound nor a dual form, so dvivachana does not apply here. Ashritam cha ekavachanam munina sarvadarshina. Therefore, the sage rightly used the singular form. And then next is Paksha Vanchita Hasta Nrttahasta. I think Hasta is repeated in this heading. I have to correct it. Hands resemble folded wings, one lowered near the waist, the other raised near the head, expressing the poised stillness of a bird before flight. And then next is Paksha Pradyodaka Nrttahasta. Here, Tau Parshvabhimukhagrau to Paksha Pradyotakau Matau Uttanau Kechidanyetu Urdhvanguli cha Paramukau Hastau Bhananti Shobhete cha Etau Pragbhyam Anantaram. Both hands extended sideways. It depicts the wings in motion. Fingers raised and outward, symbolizing the radiant spread or splutter of wings. Paksha Pradyotaka Nrttahasta. And then next one is Danda Paksha Nrttahasta. Here what happens when the Hamsa Paksha hand moves sideways near the chest and then it is extended obliquely with grace. This is Latakara gesture. Then alternately or simultaneously they form the Danda Paksha gesture. And then there is Garuda Paksha. Adhomukhau Katikshetre Sthitva Nyanchita Kurparau Patakau Tiryagurdhvam Draggatau Garuda Pakshakau. When both hands facing downward near the waist with bent elbows move swiftly, obliquely, upward in Pataka gesture, they are called Garuda Paksha. There is a quick movement. So some describe them as Tripataka, though the sage does not agree. Kechiduktau Tripatakau imau. But Natu Munir Matau. Bharata does not agree to that. And then Urdhva Mandalina Nrttahasta. Here what happens? Bhalasthalam Urodeshat Prapya Tat Parshvamagatau Mandala Bhranti Vitatau Urdhva Mandalinau Karau. So here when the hands move from the chest to the forehead and then sideways, spreading in an upward circular motion, they are called Urdhva Mandalina. Some describe them as reaching the forehead, and they are renowned among dancers as the Chakravartinika ityetau prasiddhau Chakravartinikau ityetau prasiddhau Nrttya Vedina. And then there is Parshva Mandalina. Here what happens when both hands in Pataka gesture are placed sideways, facing each other, they are called Parshva Mandalina. Some describe them as positioned at the sides of the body or as swinging, rotating arms, and then dancers also know them as Kakshavartanika. Tau Patakakriti Parshva Nyasta Vanyonya Sammukhau. Okay, Kakshavartani Ketyetau Manvate Nrttavedinaha. And then the next one is Uro Mandalinha Nrttahasta. Yugapat Karane Kritvodveshtitam cha apaveshtitam Yatau Swaparshve Vakshasto Bhrantya Mandala Vakramat. So here in Uromandalina Nrttahasta, when the arms are twisted or are curved like a bow, moving from the chest to the sides in circular rotation, they are called Uromandalina. Some describe them as chest level rotations, and they are renowned among dancers as Urovartanika. Others equate them with the Hamsa Paksha within the three upward circular gestures. And then the next one is Urah Parshvardha Mandal, 24th one. Yeah. When one hand is upright, Ekatra Urasthitaha Uttane Anyasmin Parshva Prasarite. So one hand is upright at the chest and the other extended sideways, with the chest hand rotated into Alapadma and the side hand twisted. The gesture attains the form of Arala and becomes a chest circular movement. By practice, both hands together form the Uraha Parshva Mandala. Nrttahasta. And then the next one is Mushtika Swastika Hasta. When one hand is rotated into Arala, Ekam Vartanaya Aralam, Tatha Anyam Alapallavam, the other into Alapallava, alternately forming them creates the swastika shape. And then, if both hands are in Khataka Mukha, they are called Mushtika Swastika. Similarly, combinations of Kapitha, Shikhara, or Mushti hand gestures may also form the swastika. And then the next one is Nalini Padma Kosha, Nrttahasta. Ashlishta Swastikau Santau Vyavritta Kriyaya Karau Mithaha Parangmukhau Kritva Yau Kritau Padmakoshakau. Nalini Padmakoshau Tav Apare Tu Anyatha Jaguhu Anyonya Sammukhau Santau Samshlishta Manibandhakau. So when both hands in Padmakosha are crossed but not tightly joined, turned outward and rotated, they are called Nalini Padmakosha. Some describe them as facing each other with joined wrists, or separated in rotation, moving near the chest, shoulders, or knees. When revolving, they are said to represent the gesture of goddess Lakshmi. Here, if we look at Abhinavagupta's observation, Anyonya Sammukhau Santau, Samshlishta Manibandhakau, Padmakoshau Prithak Praptau, Vyavritti Parivartane, Nalini Padmakoshau Staha. So what he says is, when both Padmakosha hands face each other, joined at the wrists and then separated through rotational movement, they are called Nalini Padmakosha. And then next one is actually I have put a placed this thing comparative Nalini Padmakosha Nrttahasta by Bharata, Abhinavagupta and Sharngadeva here. I'll share the PDF. You can later on go through this. And then next one is Alapallava Nrttahasta, Udveshtita Kriyau Vakshah Kshetrastha Alapallava. Kshetrasthau Alapallavau Skandhantika Mathopetya Prasrita Alapadmakau. So when both hands in Alapallava gesture perform a twisting motion near the chest and extend toward the shoulders, in Alapadma form, the gesture is called Alapallava. And the next one is Ulbana Nrttahasta Prasarya Skandhayoho Skandhabhimukha Prachalanguli, Vartitavala Padmau Ched, Ulbanau, Bhanitau Tada. So when the arms are extended toward the shoulders and the fingers move in circular motion with Alapadma hands, the gesture is known as Ulbana Nrttahasta. Some of them appear to be similar, but there is a little variation which we need to observe when we are having leisure time. Okay. Then Lalita Nrttahasta. Pallavau Shirsha Deshasthau, Lalitau Kalitau Budhaihi, Chaturashrim Abhanjantau, Shirasthau Achalau Karau. So this Lalita Hasta, when both hands in Pallava gesture are placed near the head, gracefully breaking symmetry, they are called Lalita. Some describe them as Khataka Mukha Hasta, Lalita Apare Prahuhu Anyetu Khataka Mukhau. And then when their tips gently touch near the head, they are known as Lalita Nrttahasta. Shanaihi Prapya Shiraha Anyonya Lagnagrau Lalitau Viduhu. And then next one is Valita Nrttahasta. Kurpara Swastika Yutau Latakhyau Valitau Matau Mushtika Swastikau Murdhni Vivruttau Tau Pare Viduhu. Anyetu Achakshate Anyonya Lagnagrau Khataka Mukhau Urdhvagau Prushthato Namra Kurparau Valitau Matau. So this Valita, which is the last Nrttahasta of the 30, when the elbows are crossed and the hands take the Lata form, the gesture is called Valita. Some describe it as Mushtika Swastika near the head or Khataka Mukha with joined tips. When these elbows bend backwards and then rise upward, it is also known as Valita, used by dance masters in rhythmic sequences. And then next, actually, Sharngadeva, he talks about some specific hasta vinyoga like Nikunchaka, Dvishikara, and Varadabhaya. Wherein Nikunchaka Hasta belongs to the Asanyuta Hasta category. Nikuncha uses Pataka Hasta, Patakaha, Madhyama Mula Lagnangushtau, Nikunchakaha. And then the thumb joined at the root of the middle finger to express restraint, modesty, and then subtle abhinaya to show Vedic recitation with gentle emphasis. Svalpabhinaye Vedadhyayane cha prayujyate. And then Shikhara, Dvishikhara actually, Shikhara Dvanda Sanyogat Karo, Dvishikharo Mataha. Here, this Dvishikhara category belongs to the Sanyuta Hasta. Shikhara Dvanda Sanyogat Karo, Dvishikharo Mataha, Shayanarthe, Anguli Sphote, Strinam Anunaye Tatha. Nastityarthe api sanyojya viyuktam shikharadvayam. So here it depicts sleep, finger snapping, saying no, wooing women, and such activities, to show such activities. And this belongs to the Sanyuta Hasta. And then the next one is Varadabhaya Nrttahasta. Here, this Varadabhaya belongs to the third category, that is Nrttahasta. Here, Varada, right hand in Arala position, placed at the waist. Abhaya, left hand in Arala position, raised at the side. It shows giving boon. Varada is giving boon, and Abhaya is protection. Classical iconography of deities, blessings, reassurance are the important usages of this Nrttahasta. And Sharngadeva says, Iti मनान्तरोक्तास्त्रयः हस्ताः प्रदर्शनार्थमुक्तेयं हस्तानां सप्ततिर्मया आनन्त्यादभिनेयानां सन्त्यनन्ताः परेकराः लोकवृत्तानुसारात् ते ऊह्यन्ताम् अनया दिशा. So Sharngadeva says these three additional hastas have been described. Altogether, 70 hastas have been presented for demonstration. Yet, because of the infinite possibilities of Abhinaya, countless other hand gestures exist. These too can be imagined and adapted according to regional practice and context. Thus, this verse, this manantaroktaha trayaha hastaha, this verse beautifully acknowledges that while tradition codifies 70 hastas, the art of abhinaya is limitless, shaped by creativity and live experience. And then he says, नेत्र भ्रू मुख रागाद्यैः उपाङ्गैः उपबृंहिताः. Sharngadeva pays attention to details such as how hand gestures must be coordinated with upangas, minor limbs like eyes, brows, facial expression, and pratyangas, secondary limbs like shoulders, chest, sides, etc., to bring out the beautiful rasa and bhava. And then hands must be supported by eyes, brows, facial expressions, mukharaga, etc. to show emotions properly. And then he also says, no, in the case of noble characters, when noble characters are to be depicted, hands move near the forehead. Uttame sannikrishtaah syuh, madhyame madhya samsthitaah, adhame tu abhineye syuh, viprakrishta charah karaah. Alpo prachurah sah स्यात् मध्यमे अल्पो हस्तप्रचारः that we will come to. The hands move near the forehead when noble characters are depicted. In the case of Madhyama, hands are placed at the chest level. In the case of Adhama, hands move downward. And then he says in direct expression like pratyaksha, fewer hand movements are to be used. More satvika abhinaya, inner emotional expressions are exhibited. In paroksha prachurahasya sahasyat, there more elaborate, when indirect expressions are to be made, more elaborate hand movements are exhibited. Usually while talking, no, many of us have the habit of using our hand also. Why we do it? Because our expressions, verbal expressions are not enough. Only in such cases we start using our hand also. We take the help of hand, isn't it? So noble and medium characters should use clear, graceful hand gestures. Inferior characters may use awkward and distorted hand movements. And then where hasta is avoided also is talked about here. He says, in grief, fear, fainting, sleep, illness, madness, intoxication, no hand gesture is used. And in special gestures are used like karkata. Karkata hasta is used. Such karkata hasta and such others are used to indicate inner feelings even in sorrowful states. With that, we come to the end of Hasta Prakarana. And there is a comparative analysis of Bharata's Natya Shastra and Sharngadeva's Sangeetha Ratnakara with regard to Hasta Bhedaha. And In the next session or the subsequent one, I think we will wind up our Sangeetha Ratnakara overview.
Mahodaya,
Ah.
I mean, if you want, you can switch off the recording. I want to look at the slide number 16.
Just a minute.
16.